Hi everybody, this is Diana, aka Pop Culture Diva 42, and this is my review of the second season of Arrow. So Arrow is back after a tumultuous first season, and unfortunately the premiere for the second season did not have great ratings, and that's a shame because it was very well promoted, especially under the tagline City of Heroes. And that combined with the fact that we have Summer Glau on the show now really gives me pause and really concerns me in terms of the show's odds of survival past the second season. But referring to the pilot itself, I think it was a good reboot of the Arrow mythology so far, but there were definitely problems that I had with it, and there are also things that I loved about it. I'm going to start talking about the problems that I have with it because I want to end the review on a positive note. So, Oliver comes back after five months spent on the island to meditate and think about his life, think about his choices. And he comes back to a city that is filled with copycats that are trying to take revenge on the city's elite for them failing the city in terms of the disaster from the Glades taking place. So they blame the rich people for the disaster in the Glades. Starting with Oliver Queen, of course. Something that I hated about this episode is, of course, the Laurel / Oliver drama. I already ranted about this last season, and I think I finally figured out why I hate this relationship so much. It's because Katie Cassidy, or better yet, Katie Cassidy in this particular television show, in this context, does not appear to play an actual fucking human being. The character of Laurel is so incredibly fake and robotic. It's like the way she dresses, the way she moves, the way she wears her makeup, the way she cries. It doesn't seem to be an actual person. It's like a life-size Barbie doll. And it's hypocritical of me to criticize Katie Cassidy for this, or rather the combination of Katie Cassidy and the scripts that she's getting, because Stephen Amell has the same fucking problems. Like, he's robotic, he's placid, he doesn't have any kind of flexibility in his facial muscles to show any other emotion other than apathy. But the problem is that I actually don't hate Katie Cassidy. I hate the relationship between Laurel and Oliver because you have two incredibly robotic and boring people together that we're supposed to believe that have this great passion between them. But I just don't fucking buy it because they're not fucking human beings. At least with like characters like Fia. Fia has a really weird mole on her lip. And Roy Harper is kind of short, which he himself admits it. And Felicity stutters. And like, these are little details that the actor or the character has so well integrated, and it makes them seem like real people. And I know it's hypocritical to complain about realism in a show like Arrow, but they at least need to seem real. They at least need me to empathize in some way with these characters, and that is not happening with Laurel, especially when it comes to her relationship to Oliver. So please do something. Like, I do not want to hate on a strong female character, but I just cannot stand Laurel's fakeness right now. I can't say that I really hate it. I just did not understand. I did not understand why we needed to have a time jump on the island, because in the present, the action jumped forward 5 months into the future, while Oliver was on the island trying to find himself. And we had that same time jump on the island where after the sequence of events on the island being presented so consistently and like going from crisis to crisis, all of a sudden I'm supposed to believe that 5 months passed and nothing happened between Slade, Oliver, and Shadow living on the island together. What is this, like Gilligan's Island? Like, nothing happened that Oliver could flash back sometime in the future when he needs to have a parallel with another lesson that he's learning in the present. Yeah, why can't we just continue on the island with the action from where the big giant boom happened at the end of last season. Like, I don't get that. Why do we need a time jump on the island? So it's not something that I hate. I just don't really understand it. Now, another thing that I don't really hate, but I'm kind of conflicted about, is this entire notion that Oliver Queen has rededicated his mission this time to in honor of the memory of his friend Tommy, who died at the end of the last season. Now, on the one hand, I like this because I really like Tommy as a character, and I'm happy to see that his death is not forgotten, and he is still, even if he's not in the show, his existence served a purpose. So I like the fact that Tommy is being remembered. I don't like the fact that it's kind of similar, and Oliver himself says it, that before I used to fight for my father, now I'm going to fight for Tommy. Like, when is Oliver going to fight for himself? Like, the problem with dedicating your mission to protect the city to somebody is that it doesn't seem like you really want to do it. Like, take somebody like Roy Harper, for instance. Like, I think this was a great episode for Roy Harper because on the one hand, he has the right attitude about this fighting crime shit. Like, he does it because it's the right thing to do. Oliver comes in and says, well, Tommy died thinking I'm a murderer, so I'm going to prove him wrong and I'm not going to kill people. Doesn't seem like he's really buying into it. It seems like he's doing this because it needs to be done, but he's not doing it because he wants to be a superhero. He's not doing it because he feels it in his gut that this is his destiny, which is the same problem that was in Smallville. And I don't like this because I know that we're going to have the same fucking issues that we had last season when Oliver kept changing his mind whether he wants to save the city or he doesn't. I'm going to do this one thing and then I'm going to be with Laurel, but I don't want to lie to my family, but then my father died and blah, blah, blah. So seriously, like, Roy Harper needs to lend a little bit of his attitude to Oliver because Oliver is being such a grumpy pants right now. On the other hand, I really like the idea of Oliver taking the no-kill stance because I did have some issues with his dubious ethical code last season, where he was okay with killing people. I really like it that now he's taking a stance like no killing. And it's very important with superheroes not to kill people unless you absolutely have to. And of course, it depends from superhero to superhero. But in regards to Oliver, I would have liked it if he didn't need to see Tommy die to make this step, because it's pretty fucking obvious that you should not kill people. For instance, you have copycats around the city killing people using your name. That would have been signal enough for Oliver that something was wrong with his modus operandi. So again, it seems like he's doing shit just because he feels he needs to live up to a certain standard imposed by others. And the problem is that it doesn't come from within. His desire not to kill people doesn't come from within. It comes from a place of shame. Also, I would have liked Oliver to show just a little bit of accountability when it came to the copycats that were running around town killing people in his name. Like, just show a little bit of responsibility towards that, and step in before his sister got kidnapped. In fact, his sister should not have gotten kidnapped at all, just to motivate Oliver. Other than that, like I said, this was a great episode for Roy Harper. Other than being incredibly heroic, he also gave some sound advice to Fia and just being a good sidekick without the superhero and being a good boyfriend. And it did make me feel a little bit sad that he's still being ignored by Oliver Queen. And when Oliver finally acknowledges Roy Harper as a sidekick and as a brother, it better be fucking epic. Like, fangirls should start shipping like that. Because this shit is getting ridiculous. Like, somebody give Roy Harper some love besides Fia. We didn't see that much of Diggle in this episode. Or rather, Felicity and Diggle, the regular sidekicks right now. I think that Felicity is starting to overshadow Diggle a little bit. We didn't see that much from him, but I'm sure that in future episodes he's going to prove his worth once again. I know I've mostly talked negatively about the premiere, but I'm still cautiously optimistic about the second season since the Queen the Queen brand, the Queen family, the Queen company has a lot to prove this season to the city, and Oliver Queen has a lot to prove to himself, especially now he's adopted the no kill rule. And this is the season that's going to be all about the City of Heroes. So we've already seen Black Canary, or rather a version of Black Canary in the final couple of seconds of this episode, and we've seen, copycat heroes going around town being very non-heroic, I guess. Um so yeah, that's all I wanted to say about the second season premiere of Arrow. Somebody give Island Oliver a haircut, because I cannot, this is my problem with the time jump on the island. I cannot believe that 5 months passed and nobody fought to give Island Oliver a fucking haircut. So please tell me, what did you like or did not like about the first episode of the second season of Arrow, and what are you most excited about for this season? Obviously, we're going to have Flash later on, Barry Allen, Canary is going to show up more and more, and other characters from the DC universe. So let's all hope that Arrow makes it past the second season. Although with Summer Glau, it is not looking good.